Ray is on the run after a job in London goes sour. He disposes of his gun and is ordered to hide out in Belgium with his colleague Ken. Two hitmen waiting for the next decision from their boss Harry, Ken decides to go sightseeing, dragging a moody, critical Ray along the way. Ray is plagued by guilt and remorse, exacerbated when Ken's next task, from Harry's own mouth, is to kill Ray due to his recent mistake. This is Martin McDonagh's modern classic In Bruges, a mixture of scathing pitch-black comedy perfectly balanced with neo-noir, wearing the Coen brothers' inspirations on its sleeve, but developed into McDonagh's own distinctive Irish-centric gallows vision. With a strong sense of characterisation, where every gesture indicates a depth of faults, flaws and personal needs, In Bruges wrings empathy from us for this dysfunctional cast, even at their most offensive and heinous. The film's eventual thematic focus on whether certain sins are irredeemable, or if redemption can be earned to remedy unshakable remorse, becomes a rhetorical, hefty question presented towards the audience. Ray is a deeply insecure man, plagued by depression, feeling the painful weight of guilt over his irreversible, unintentional action. Our first impression of the man is that he's an effortless shit-stirrer, saying the most reprehensible remarks to provoke others, willingly attempting to push others away. He is a man who feels he's no good for anything, and he feels he's unworthy of existing. Maybe this first impression of him makes some viewers feel the same way, as wherever Ray goes, offence and agitation follows. Ray's offensive remarks, and it's fair to acknowledge them as such, due to how they steer towards racist, ableist and homophobic language, are a defence mechanism and an extension of his low self-esteem. If Ray deems himself a bad influence wherever he goes, if he cannot see any glimmer of light in a historic city such as Bruges, which he makes his negative critical opinions of the city abundantly clear, then it becomes expected that each of his harsh words and gestures are a method of pushing others away, almost as if to protect them from his influence, maybe to reinforce his viewpoint of himself into the minds of others surrounding him. The sting of his language is shocking. If Ray is trying to create a distance between himself and others, it makes sense that this would extend to the audience too. We don't have to condone what Ray says to understand where it's coming from. Ray is a man who needs distractions, but he'd rather rely on booze and drugs than tourist spots and cultural landmarks. The weight of his guilt is unbearable, that even the sheer mention of what he did causes a flight response. On his first job as a hitman, Ray accidentally took an innocent life, the life of a child. We need to acknowledge this complex self-loathing within Ray, as the central relationship between Ray and Ken hinges on this and Ken's ultimate decision, an action decided by conscience. When tasked by Harry to kill Ray, will Ken truly do it? In Bruges skewers our assumptions of assassins and undercover killers, as Ken, a man with unmentionable experience as a hitman, finds it difficult to take out a target who so openly wishes to take himself out. Ken is a trained killer, but he's also a man with a conscience, a sense of empathy, and an emotionally intelligent core. He understands that things are not so binary. The task of killing Ray challenges his loyalty, his allegiance, and his code of ethics. Does he follow the order of a man he respects deeply due to his sense of justice, helping Ken when he was in his depths of grief over the loss of his wife? Or does he support the young man who he brought into this line of work because he knows Ray has potential to be something better in the world? This decision could become an act of redemption for Ken himself, a man who was killed for money, being given another chance to allow one of his targets the opportunity for escape. A chance to do anything, because another death, another kill can't remedy those past mistakes, but striving to make that positive change? That could potentially save the next person. This is Ken's attempt at saving Ray, and by extension, maybe even saving himself. In Bruges is presenting a fascinating rhetorical and ethical quandary to the audience without much in way of hand-holding. Can our past sins be irredeemable, or in the face of genuine remorse, should second chances be provided? Harry, deemed without the capacity for change, wishes to stick to his principles, similar to the mentality behind an eye for an eye, which is why he orders for Ray's death. Harry is stubborn, but it's this stubbornness that has also provided support to Ken in his dire time of need. Ken considers Ray someone with the capacity for change. Ray is depressive and wishes to take his own life, but Ken sees the potential for good in him that is inherent in the weight of the man's remorse. There's a clever sense of irony lying within this internalized conflict. Ray wants to die, but he doesn't want to be killed. Ray feels useless, a negative influence on the world, and yet he's willing to apologise to his innocent victim's mother, and will accept whatever fate has in store for him. This is what Ken sees that Harry doesn't. The ultimate capacity for growth, for change. Martin McDonagh presents these contrasting perspectives to us through the fascinating polarising dynamic that questions where our own perspective lies. There is relatability within both points of view. Can a crime be too monumental to be forgiven, even if the perpetrator is remorseful? Even if the action is committed accidentally? Can a person have the true ability to grow from past mistakes, no matter how haunted they are by them? Within this necessity for atonement, audiences can potentially relate to Ray's internalised conflict. What if we carry the weight of guilt over a missed opportunity, or a mistake we haven't forgiven ourselves for? We don't have to share Ray's line of work to be able to relate to the human emotion of guilt, to empathise with the weight and emotional pain of it, as it impacts every facet of Ray's current existence. There's a glimmer of light within In Bruges' darkly comic pathways that we can learn from. If Ray has the capacity for change, if he deserves a second chance, then we should gain something from that. Second chances are an opportunity to improve upon past mistakes, to improve matters on our own terms. That is what In Bruges proposes as the ultimate character redemption. In conclusion, Martin McDonagh's In Bruges has such a thorough understanding of its characters that pains are left unsaid, which snowball into inescapable tensions, propelling our characters into a position where they grapple with the necessary difficulty of atoning for past challenges. McDonagh's film has a rich and emotionally sharp philosophical quandary that focuses on the significance of second chances and redemption, made effortlessly gripping by how empathetic each of its abrasive characters can be. It's just a fantastic bonus that McDonagh knows how to make such a dark, hefty subject matter so effortlessly funny too. A special thank you to my incredible tier Patreon supporter Gil, and to my super tier Patreon supporters Constantine Bombelli and Jamie.